Good day everyone, my name is Melody Butak, but you can call me Ma'am Melody for this discussion. I am going to discuss you the software testing, which is our midterm project. Ano nga ba ang software testing? What is software testing? Several definitions. Testing is the process of establishing confidence that a program or system does what it is supposed to. It is by Hetzel, 1973. One of very important software development phases, a software process based on well-defined software quality control and testing standards, testing methods, strategy, test criteria, and tools. Testing is the process of evaluating a system or its components with the intent to find whether it satisfies the specified requirements or not. In simple words, testing is executing a system in order to identify any gaps, errors, or missing requirements in contrary to the actual requirements. The software testing is ito daw yung process of evaluating and verifying that the software, product, or application does what it is supposed to do. The benefits of testing include preventing bugs, reducing development costs, and improving performance. The testing is important since it discovers defects or bugs before the delivery to the client, which guarantees the quality of the software. It makes the software more reliable and easy to use. Truly tested software ensures reliable and high-performance software operation. Next, who does testing? Sino ba yung mga nagtitest sa software? In most cases, the following professionals are involved in testing a system within their respective capacities: a software tester, software developer, a project lead or a manager, and the end user. So, paano nga ba yung pag-start ng testing? When to start testing? An early start of the testing reduces the cost and time to rework and produce error-free software that is delivered to the client. However, in software development life cycle or SDLC na tinatawag, a testing can be started from the requirements gathering phase and continued till the deployment of a software. It is also depends on the development model is being used. For example, in the waterfall model, formal testing is conducted in the testing phase, but in the incremental model, testing is performed at the end of every increment or iteration, and the whole application is tested at the end. So next, why testing is important? Bakit nga daw ba importante ang pagtitest? Software testing is really required to point out the defects and errors that were made during the development phases. It's essential since it makes sure of the customer's reliability and their satisfaction in the application. It is very important to ensure the quality of the product. Syempre, importante yung quality. Quality product delivered to the customers helps in gaining their confidence. And a good testing program is a tool for both the agency and the integrator supplier. It is typically identifies the end of the development phase of the project, establishes the criteria for project acceptance, establishes the start of the warranty period. Next, meron tayong 7 principles of testing software. Meron tayong testing shows presence of defects, exhaustive testing is impossible, early testing, 4 is the defect clustering, 5 pesticide paradox, 6 testing is context dependent, and the last is the absence of errors, fallacy clustering. So yan, i-discuss natin sila isa-isa. Sa una, testing shows the presence of defects. By testing, you can show presence of defects in a product, but you can never prove that the product under test is defect-free. The testing strategy should focus on clustering the defects in order to reduce the residual risk of the software to a minimum, but even if no defects are found, it is not a proof of correctness. Number two, exhaustive testing is impossible. Testing all possible scenarios or all combinations of preconditions and inputs is not feasible. Techniques like risk analysis should be used to prioritize and focus the testing efforts. The third is the early testing. The testing activity should be started as early as possible during the software or system development life cycle. The cost of to a bug increases exponentially if the bug is found in the latter phase of the development life cycle. The testing activity shall be focused on defined objectives. Yan. Ano naman ang defect clustering? The density of modules should be used to decide where to focus the testing effort. Usually, a small number of modules contains most of the defects. That is why, in order to have an efficiency test strategy, these areas of the software should be explored in more details by the testing strategy. Number 5, pesticide paradox. Ano nga ba ang pesticide paradox? The test cases should be reviewed, updated on regular basis. New tests should be developed to exercise new parts of the software or system. If this is not done at the same test are repeated again and again, eventually no new bugs will be found. But this is not mean that the system is defect free. Testing should focus on continuous improvement during the complete development life cycle. Number 6 is the testing is context. Testing is context dependent. Different kind of systems are tested in a different way. A safety critical system like an automotive or aircraft ECU will be tested more extensively than a presentation website of a company. And the last is the absence of errors, fallacy clustering. In short words, if a system does not fulfill the user needs and expectations, then having a bug-free system does not help. Functional testing and the deep understanding of the customer expectations is a must during the development life cycle. Next is the fundamental software testing. Software testing is a method to check whether the actual software product matches expected requirements and to ensure that software product is defect-free. Um, Software testing is a method to check whether the actual software product matches expected requirements and to ensure that it involves execution of software or system components using manual or automated tools to evaluate one or more properties of interest. Next is meron tayong 5 stages of the fundamental. First is the test planning and control, test analysis and design, test implementation and execution, evaluating exit criteria and reporting, and the test closure activities. So, ayan. Unahin natin sa test planning. So, test planning has the following major tasks. Meron siyang task. First is to determine the scope and risk and identify the objectives of testing. Second is to determine the test approach. Third is to implement the test policy and or the test strategy. Then next is the test control. Test control has the following major tasks. So, ito naman siya. Meron siyang 5. First is to measure and analyze the results of reviews and testing. Second is to monitor and document progress, test coverage, and exit criteria. The third is to provide information on testing. Fourth is to initiate corrective actions. And the last is to make decisions. Um, Analysis and design. Test analysis and test design has the following major tasks. To review the test basis, to identify test conditions. The third is to design the test. The fourth is to evaluate the stability of the requirements and system. And the fourth, to evaluate the stability of requirements and system. And the fifth is to design the test environment setup and identify the required infrastructure and tools. Then next is the test implementation. Test implementation has the following major tasks. Meron siyang tatlo. First is to develop and prioritize our test cases by using techniques and create test data for those tests. Second is to create test suites from the test cases for efficient test execution. The third is to implement to verify the environment. Next is the test execution. Test execution has the following major tasks. First is to execute test suites and individual test cases following the test procedures. Second is to re-execute the test that previously failed in order to confirm a fix. This is known as confirmation testing or retesting. The third is to log the outcome of the test execution and record the identities and version of the software under test. Next is the evaluating exit criteria and reporting. Evaluating exit criteria and reporting. Based on the risk assessment of the project, we will set the criteria for each test level against which we will measure the enough testing. These criteria vary from project to project and are known as exit criteria. The exit criteria come into picture when first is the maximum test cases are executed with certain pass percentage. The bug rate falls below certain levels. And when achieved the deadlines. And the last is the test closure activities. Evaluating exit criteria as the following major tasks. Meron pa pala siyang katulad. First is to check the test logs against the exit criteria specified in test planning. Second is to assess if more tests are needed or if the exit criteria specified should be changed. And the third is to write a test summary report for stakeholders. Then sa last tayo, test closure activities. The last the last is the test closure activities. Test closure activities are done when software is delivered. The testing can be closed for other reasons also, like when all the information has been gathered which are needed for the testing, when a project is cancelled, when some target is achieved, when a maintenance release or update is done. The test closure activities have the following major tasks. Meron siyang apat. First is to check which plan deliverables are actually delivered and to ensure that all incident reports have been resolved, to finalize and archive testsware such as scripts, test environments, and etc. for later reuse. And the third is to hand over the testware to the maintenance organizations. They will give support to the software. And the fourth is to evaluate how the testing went and learn lessons for future releases and projects. Next is the testing quality assurance and quality control. Most people get confused when it comes to pin down the differences among quality assurance and quality control and testing, although they are interrelated and to some extent they can be considered as same activities, but there exist distinguishing points that set them apart. Um, the term quality assurance and quality control are often used interchangeably, although both are tightly linked. are part to quality management and sometimes difficult to differentiate. They are far from being the same while QA testing focuses on providing assurance that quality requested will be achieved. QC or quality control testing focuses on fulfilling fulfilling the quality requested. The QA focuses on preventing defect while QC focuses on the identifying the defect. Next is the software testing ISO standards. Some of the other standards related to QA and testing process are mentioned below. IEEE 829 test documentation, IEEE 830 a guide for developing system requirements specifications, IEEE 730 a standard for software quality assurance plans, IEEE 1008 unit testing, IEEE 1227 a standard for software lifecycle processes and lifecycle data, BS 7925 1 a vocabulary or terms in software testing, BS 7925 2 software component testing standard. The purpose of this series of software testing standards is to define an internationally agreed set of standards for software testing that can be used by any organizations when performing any form of software testing. Next is the type of testings. In manual testing, a human performs the test step by step without test scripts. In automated testing, tests are executed without human assistance, oftentimes via test automation frameworks along with other tools and software. Type of testing, the biggest difference between manual and automation testing is who executes the test case. In manual testing, the human tester does it. In automation testing, the tool does it. How manual testing works? Manual testing is very hands-on. It requires analysts and QA engineers to be highly involved in everything from test case creation to actual test execution. How automated testing works. Automation testing involves testers writing test scripts that automate test execution. Or a test script is a set of instructions to be performed on target platforms to validate a feature or expected outcome. So, parang ang pagkakaiba lang nila is sa manual testing, tao mismo yung nagpa-perform dito. Step by step siya. Wherein sa automated testing naman is kuwan siya sa tools sa software. Next is the software testing tools. The software testing tools. Software testing tools are the tools which are used for the testing of software. Software testing tools are often used to assure firmness, thoroughness, and performance in testing software products. The quality of the software is evaluated by software testers with the help of various testing tools. The following tools can be used for the automation testing. So, meron tayong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Meron tayong 10. First is the HP Quick Test Professional. Next is the Selenium. Third is the IBM Rational Functional Tester. The fourth is the Silk Test, the Test Complete, Testing Anywhere, the Win Runner, the Load Runner, the Visual Studio Test Professional, and the WATIR or the WATIR. And sa testing method naman, there are 3 types of testing na tinatawag. The first is the white box testing, which is meron siyang dalawang sangay, the unit testing and the structural testing. The second naman is the black box testing. Meron siyang functional testing, integration testing, system testing, usability testing, compatibility testing, configuration testing, and the concurrency testing. And the last is the non-functional testing. Meron siyang security testing, automation testing, performance testing, load testing, stress testing, volume testing, and recovery testing. Next is the documentation. The test documentation is documentation of artifacts created before or during the testing of software. Um, Tinutulungan nito yung pagtitest testing teams to estimate testing efforts needed, the test coverage, resource tracking, execution progress, and etc. It is a complete suite of documents that allows you to describe and document test planning, the test planning, test design, test execution, test results that are drawn from the testing activity. This section describes some of the commonly used documented artifacts related to software testing. Um, Meron pang dagdag kaalaman. Documentation for software testing helps in estimating the testing effort required, test coverage, requirement tracking or tracing, and etc. This section describes some of the commonly used documented artifacts related to software testing, such as the test plan, test scenario, test case, and the traceability matrix. Next is the skill required to become a software tester. Ano nga ba yung mga kailangan natin or required para maging software tester? First is a good software tester should have a sharp analytical skills. A good software tester must have a good verbal and written communication skill. Testing at times could be a demanding job, especially during the release of code. To be a good software tester, you must have a great attitude, syempre. To excel in any profession or job, one must have a great degree of the passion for it. Many employers look for software tester candidates with a bachelor's degree in computer science, math, or engineering, although it's not always required. An intermediate level position typically requires 3 to 6 years of direct experience in software testing or some combination of education and experience. If you do not hold any of these degrees, then you must complete a software testing. Dapat meron tayong certificate like ISTQB and CSTE, which help you to learn software development test, life cycle, and other testing methodologies. Next is the career options for software professionals. While software engineers benefit from having people skills, some bootcamp graduates I've talked to aren't looking forward to sitting quietly and writing code all day. If you want a career path that provides more opportunities to interact with people, these jobs may suit you. A test engineer can progress on the career path by improving work skills and by gaining experience to software test lead, test manager, software quality assurance manager, and a project manager. Many companies offer advanced on the job training or OJT. Industry experts strive to bust the myth that testing or QA jobs are not as gainful as developer jobs and emphasize the importance of quality in the current industrial scenario. Next is the job prospects. Companies are keen to put their software applications out into the market as soon as possible, and for this reason, testers and quality professionals with skill and experience are in demand. Moreover, testers and QA engineers are often found to be more aware of general business principles than developers, and many companies greatly value this knowledge. At least some of these organizations ensure that talented quality engineers rise to senior or business leadership positions. Next is the software tester salary in India. The average pay for a software tester is Rs 310,575 per year. People in this job generally don't have more than 10 years experience. Experience is strongly influences salary for this job. The skills that increase pay for this job the most are test automation, test planning, and SQL. A software tester salary in United States. A software tester earns an average salary of 55,334 US dollar per year. Most people with this job move on to the other positions after 20 years in this career. The highest paying skills associated with this job are ASP, NET, and .NET. Next is the career path of tester. Career paths are endless as for the QA engineer job. They perform different roles and gain relevant experiences and exposure making decisions, handling product project management, working with the developers. They can also perform any role working with different departments in a firm. So you need to actually think and behave like an end user while doing user acceptance testing. And the tip number four is to continuous learning. Never stop learning, explore better ways to test the application, and learn new automation tools like Selenium and QTP or any performance testing tool. And next is the scope of testing. The scope of a test defines what areas of a customer's product are supposed to get tested, what functionalities to focus on, what bug types the customer is interested in, and what areas or features should not be tested by any means. Understanding the scope of a test is crucial to be a successful tester on our platform. According to recent survey, India is going to be the popular software outsourcing destination in world because of its operational efficiency and talented workforce. As a software tester, your career advancements will follow the following hierarchy: junior test engineer to test engineer to senior test engineer to team leader and to be the project manager. There is a test manager who leads many testing groups, with each testing group led by a test leader. In some projects, if there are one of two testing groups, a test leader leads them and hiring a test manager is optional. The role of the test leader and test manager are similar. That's all for the discussion, and thank you for listening and God bless.